You know, we have this conversation, Democrats, blue dogs all the time. This is going to be the year that Democrats flip Texas, and then for some reason it doesn't quite work out that way. Give us a sense of the psychology that Democrats have right now in Texas and the opportunity that might lie ahead in November.
Yeah, something special is happening in Texas right now. And I understand we've had our hearts broken before about Texas as Democrats, but what is happening is different this time. I will tell you, James Tallarico and myself were crisscrossing the state, and what we see is this energy for change. It is not that people are suddenly Team Democrat. No. People are just, whatever this is, we don't want it. There is this anti-incumbency fervor in Texas. And Greg Abbott has been in statewide office 30 years, as governor for 12 years. He's the most entrenched incumbent there is. And so it creates this opportunity for my campaign and, frankly, for Democrats in Texas.
Well, so when you talk about this anti-incumbent fervor, do you see a single issue as being the primary driver of that? And if so, what is it?
I will say that right now, data centers are an issue that has gotten a lot of attention, especially in our rural Republican areas, where what has happened is data centers have descended into the rural Republican areas. There's almost been like a gold rush, really, of data centers coming. Greg Abbott gave them very rich tax breaks so they don't pay any tax, for instance, on electricity that they consume. We're losing about $1.5 billion a year. But the reason why rural Texans don't like it is because there are no rules in these areas. They're in what we call the unincorporated areas, right? Their local officials have no way to regulate these data centers. They don't have street lights. They don't have paid firefighters or EMS. And these hyperscale data centers have emerged in their communities, and people just feel helpless. They want a seat at the table to decide if and how these data centers come.
So do you see eye to eye with Greg Abbott on this? Who came first on this one? Or is this truly a bipartisan issue now?
No, so Greg Abbott refuses to call a special session to pass laws to protect Texans against data centers.
So his review of data centers does not impress you as a controlling approach to this?
No, he's reviewing himself is all he is doing.
Okay.
Without laws in place, there are no real protections. We all understand that come November 4th, the day after the election, his letters to himself, his audits of himself, those go away. He's received $20 million from data centers in this campaign cycle.
Okay, so if you don't buy his pause for an audit notion, do you support the idea of a general moratorium, at least for a certain period of time? If so, for how long?
I have called for a moratorium until the legislature can meet to pass laws to protect Texans. And the legislature could meet today. Greg Abbott has the sole authority to end this data center madness. I've called on Greg Abbott to call a special session of the legislature. He's called many before. Remember, he called one for mid-decade redistricting last year. So to call a special session so we can come together and pass laws to protect people.
But what should those laws look like?
Well, there's a lot to do. I will say that we know that there can be good jobs in making these data centers. I talk to people who build them, and it's good pay, so I don't want to dismiss that. But then there are also data centers that are shipping in workers to build these data centers, and that's not about creating jobs. They should be American union jobs, first of all, that are building these. They should not be subsidized. The taxpayers should not have to be paying for this. They're owned by the richest men in the world. They should pay for themselves. We need some regulations on water, on electricity, and finally, that end product of AI that is supposed to replace all of us in the workplace, right? We need some real constraints there, some bright lines about we shouldn't use AI to replace teachers, to replace nurses, to make life or death decisions or decisions about our health.
We're getting ready for the news anchor bots to show up, so let us know when we have to worry about that. But is this the deciding issue in your campaign?
No, but it is the latest example.
It's the one you've seized on.
Well, it is the latest example of Greg Abbott doing the bidding of the moneyed interest, the special interest, and not the people of Texas. And so it is one that people have kind of grabbed onto.
Well, let's talk about some other animating issues that we're seeing nationwide, and I'm curious how you're seeing them play out in Texas. And immigration, for example. We're fresh off of a primary we saw in Minnesota, where, of course, there were the 2 fatal shootings of American citizens by ICE, and the establishment candidate who had backed the Laken Riley Act ultimately lost to a far-left challenger, with immigration as the issue. I wonder how you are approaching that issue in Texas, and if you also see the kind of fissures between the far left and moderates to approach that policy specifically.
What I see in Texas is really we're just all on the same page. We want something that makes sense. They just shot and killed a man in Houston, Texas, who was on his way to work. An unmarked car pulled over this man, Salgado Araujo, who was on his way to work, and shot first and asked questions later. They killed him. In an environment like that, nobody is safe. People are mad about these ICE raids that are going after people who've been in our country 20 years, hardworking, law-abiding. We all want border security. Yes, I'm from the border. Of course I want border security. We don't want people crossing into this country who mean us harm. At the same time, we should not be treating people who've been in this country 20 years, who are abiding by the law, who are part of our communities, part of our families. Many of us come from mixed status families. My own mother was born in Mexico. But so border security, yes. What is happening with these ICE raids is making us less secure, not more secure.
So when we delineate between those two the way that you just did, does this administration deserve credit for securing the border?
I will say there are few crossings at our Mexico border because of what Trump has done. Yes, he does.
Has that made Texas safer?
Likely, yes. Likely it has made Texas safer in that sense, but less safe when it comes to these ICE raids in our community.
How about the impact on the economy, though? The impact on the job market?
Yeah,
where we're watching many jobs go unfilled because of this.
Absolutely. There is no plan, right? There has been in Texas a lot of undocumented labor. That's just the reality, right? And now that these people have been detained and deported, these immigrants who are just showing up to their jobs have been detained and deported, they're not people to do the jobs, and there is no plan. And that is a real problem. I will also say about the security issue. We have a district attorney in Harris County who says he has child sex abuse cases he cannot prosecute because the witnesses are too afraid to come forward or have been detained or deported. So that makes us all less safe.
We just have a minute left. I want to get to public schools. As we've seen takeovers in certain areas, Austin could be next. What's wrong with Texas's public schools, and how do you propose to fix it?
We need a back to basics approach. I had a press conference last year with MAGA moms with me for my bill, which is my plan, to let's wipe clean all the grift, all the vendor contracts that are really to Greg Abbott's donors, use that money to pay our teachers to be amongst the highest paid in the nation. We have to put money back into the classroom, not into bureaucracy in Austin, not into these grifting vendor contracts.
Do you need to raise taxes to do that as well?
Absolutely not. We are a high tax state in Texas. We pay very high property taxes under Greg Abbott. There's the money, there aren't the priorities.